a lot of people have a lot of questions, mainly because I think they're so into the game and they want to kind of give you ideas and work like that. What would you say are your best questions you got for that?
Oh, there were some really good ones. And if I can expand from that, I actually think what the reason it is because actually DayZ, in a way, is as much many of those people's games as it is mine. When you actually look at the content that's provided, these people are indelibly part of it. That's why I kind of don't like the term fans, I prefer the term participants. I know it's kind of, you know, semantics, but it's kind of an important distinction, and I think the interest is reflected in that, is that people feel they have a vested interest in it. And I think there were some really challenging questions. One of the ones I liked best was a question about my changing my mind about private hives and modding and stuff like that, because I had a very strict, probably too hard standpoint. I got probably a bit carried away with suppressing a single player version and suppressing private hives. Like I think I went too far, but I was doing what I felt was best for the project. So I kind of like that people were calling me out on that. I think that's important, and I think it's important for me to discuss these things so that I don't maybe go down those same tracks again in the future. One of the amazing things about the Armour community is the community created content. So there are many islands that have been created by the community, and you really can't underestimate how many hours are required to make these islands. Like Chernoris, which is part of Armour 2, which DayZ is based on, you know, that took like a couple of years' work for a team, you know, of developers. And then you have these community guys, the makers of this Lingua island, and then they go through, they figure out how DayZ works, and they've made DayZ work for this island. That's fantastic stuff, and bearing in mind that they went through my shoddy code, figured out how things worked, and then did it. Like, how can you not be honoured by that, really, from my perspective?
So you're more than happy for people to be doing that, or do you kind of not like it?
I love it. I think it's fantastic. We want to try and support that. I just don't have the time to you know, set up a Git repository and provide documentation and explanation and that. Like, we are in, I wouldn't say crisis, but we are in permanent crunch. You know, we knew this was going to happen, but what we are planning is very ambitious time-wise. It's also very important. It has to be done by the end of this year. So big decisions, hard decisions have to be made, and one of them is that I want to support the mod development as much as possible, but the community has to pick that up. It's that, or I don't provide as much input in the standalone, and I think that's what has to happen. So yeah, that's a roundabout way of saying that I think it's fantastic. I realise that that seems like a bit of a turnaround from my previous stances, but I had those stances for a reason. I wanted DayZ to be remembered for a very specific few things it did, a very clear message. That message has been sent, so there's no point in having that crazy standpoint that I had. I don't think a good game, a great game, is a collection of features. I think a great game is the mastery of those features. I don't think DayZ has mastered its features yet, but you can see that appearing in it. You can see that it's on the road to mastering it if we don't screw it up. That is what makes DayZ great. It's not a collection of any of the individual features. It's that the sum of its features is greater than you know, than them individually. And I think that's the challenge for anyone who's coming in. DayZ is the passion of you know, my vision of what I wanted to play. And I'm very passionate about it, and I'll work any amount of hours to see that happen. And so I could waste a lot of energy getting very angry and doing all sorts of crazy interviews and stuff like that. But A, whether they have any moral or legal standpoint is debatable, and B, does it make a better game? As much as I want to put my ego on and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't make a better game. And the only thing I can do to be successful here and not be recorded as a dismal failure in history is to make a good game. So pragmatically, that's what I have to do, and I have to put all that arrogance, and it's probably a better word than arrogance for it, but you know, aside, and say, now is the time. This is your chance. It's yours to screw up, and yeah.
You've had